Hello everyone, RetroCon here. Hey, wake up. Something is wrong. Actually, everything is wrong. But what is wrong? Could it be the fact that the captain of your ship has gone missing? Or maybe it is that you have crash landed on an alien planet and the only way forward is through a mystery flesh pit? No, it's none of that. It is only what is on the other side of this mystery flesh pit that makes you realize what is wrong. It is a radio. And only when you play this radio do you finally realize what is wrong. The Germans, they won. Signalis. Signalis? Signalis is a game about signals. Mixed signals, to be precise. If you love radios and sending encrypted messages on public frequencies, then you might enjoy this game. Signalis takes place in the far future on a distant solar system. In this alternate reality, the Germans have conquered the cosmos and have expanded across the galaxy. Together with what I can only assume are the Japanese, they have created the perfect anime waifus, synthetic beings known as replicas, consisting almost entirely of women, whose primary purpose is to serve the needs of the Empire. Replicas are an integral component to the success of the Empire as they perform all sorts of labor around the solar system. Multiple models of replicas exist, and depending on the model, they can do just about anything from cooking and nursing to security and industrial work. All is well and good in this solar system, except it's not, and an ongoing civil war of cataclysmic proportions rages in the background. Now, if you thought the situation could not be worse, well, you're wrong. Humanity's never-ending need to explore and expand has unraveled a Lovecraftian horror deep beneath the surface of a colony. What exactly happened on contact is unclear. Did they unleash a virulent virus? Or perhaps encountered a psionic eldritch being that caused a mass psychosis? The end result is the same. The replicas have gone insane, and instead of cutting up your dinner, they are cutting up your insides. For one reason or another, your character, who is a replica, shows no symptoms. Why? Good question. One we might have an answer to later in this video. You start off the game crash landed on a planet far out of the solar system. You awaken dazed and confused. However, you know your primary objective: finding the captain of your ship. You immediately head off to the cryo room, only to find it empty, so you set off to explore the world in search of your missing compatriot. Traverse through various worlds in the present, the past, and even the future. Okay, maybe not the future. To piece together the whereabouts of the captain, navigate dilapidated dwellings, solve mysterious puzzles, do your best to avoid infected androids, and fight them when that isn't an option. Honestly, you probably won't know what's going on the first time you play through this game, but hey, feeling like your mind is being torn asunder is fun, I promise. Wake up. Signalis is pixelated with an anime aesthetic. It is heavily inspired by classics such as Resident Evil and Silent Hills. Play it on your 800 by 600 cathode ray tube for the optimal experience. This style lends well to the themes of the game, most of which are focused around some sort of retro sci-fi Lovecraftian horror atmosphere. The interspersed German and Japanese text works in favor of the game, and the chaotic nature of the text blends together to build a sort of cacophony of visuals that puts you in a state of unease. The intermittent glitching that occurs in menus and in-game is a great visual touch, and having an Android eye tracking your mouse is a nice touch. The music and sound are fantastic. You have got a dark, moody, and repressive atmosphere captured through your auditory tube. The interspersed classical tracks serve to make you wonder what is going on. Signalis' focus on the radio is a fantastic recurring theme, and it's greatly incorporated into various puzzles and plot points. Having to listen to the oppressive static is an unsettling experience, and with that being said, the sounds and music of this game are great and are perfectly engineered to make the game feel dark and oppressive. The primary feedback loop of the game focuses on exploring as many rooms as you can to collect items, discover puzzles, and gather clues. Once you've explored every room available to you, it's time to use your advanced human brain to piece together everything you have gathered so far. Hopefully, you won't be like me and need a wiki to solve some of the more intricate puzzles. If you've done everything correctly, you'll be rewarded with more rooms and more puzzles, and that's essentially your loop. Of course, you will also have to deal with the rogue AI Japanese waifus who want nothing more than to hug you. Please wake up. The game offers great puzzles that require strategic and tactical thinking. Puzzles might require you to read notes very carefully. They might require you to combine individual items to form keys. Some puzzles might have solutions spelled out for you on the other end of the map. You've got a bit of everything, and the puzzles are rewarding to solve. Upon exploring rooms, you will find items, ammunition, and health packs. Treasure these items and use them with discretion, as they are a limited resource. While you might be tempted to shoot at anything that moves and heal every bit of damage you receive, you will have to bring out your inner survivalist and be very selective with your consumption of resources. Your best bet in most situations is to make like a rat and skulk about, avoiding confrontations. Furthermore, you can't just kill a replica. Bullet wounds will only incapacitate them temporarily. You will have to use the even rare thermite packs to ensure they never rise up again. Along your run, you'll discover new weapons to use against the increasingly numerous and more powerful enemies. A handy shotgun or a powerful revolver are among some of the items you'll find on your journey. You will also find incredibly high-tech modules that will help you navigate increasingly hazardous rooms, such as a flashlight or a camera. The future is great. Saving is a manual process and can only be done on this blood red terminal inside of a safe room. There's also a storage box here to remind you of your extremely limited storage of 6 slots. This will be a continuous pain more often than not, particularly because just about everything takes up one of the slots. That cool gun you found? A slot. The ammo for that gun? A slot. The flashlight? Another slot. Health packs? A slot. Everything takes up a slot, and you'll never have more than 6. The gameplay is always changing up on you. In some instances, you'll be forced to work without a map. In other instances, you will have to deal with limited visibility. You'll be utilizing your built-in radio to solve puzzles multiple times. Other times, you'll be dealing with massive walls of flesh. Either way, for a game that only lasts 10 or so hours, the experience never gets dull. Alright, huddle around, it's story time. First of all, spoiler alert, if you want to play this game raw and unadulterated, go ahead and exit this video. I don't normally add spoiler warnings, but the story is like 90% of the experience, and you deserve it. In the distant future, humans have expanded across the galaxy. Your morally just and righteous nation of, Eusan has waged a war of secession against the great empire. In every work of fiction, the rebels have always been the good guys. So, let's go ahead and root for our great totalitarian and jingoist rebels who've set up a massive propaganda and surveillance apparatus to monitor their citizens. In this dystopian reality, it is implied that this civil war has severely destabilized the solar system, with mass starvation and casualties being the norm. You have to wake up. Your adventure begins on the Penrose Shuttle, an exploratory vessel that has landed on a distant and unknown planet. Every vessel is commanded by a gestalt and a replica. You play from the perspective of the replica, known as Elster, and upon awakening from your sleep, you notice your gestalt partner is missing. A preliminary investigation reveals she has left the shuttle, so you embark after her. Upon exiting the craft, you find yourself before a mysterious archway with an ominous hole. Descending this mystery cavity reveals a small, pulsating, and fleshy orifice. And figuring that this is the only way forward, you crawl into it, into the unknown. Because that's the normal thing to do? After crawling through this hole and unfortunately not being bored alive, you arrive in a small room, the hole behind you having disappeared. On the table in front of you lies a book and a radio. And upon picking up this book, the radio begins to play. Congratulations, we've made it through the introduction. After the title card, you now find yourself on a mining facility located on the solar system of origin. You discover that there is some sort of infestation spreading amongst the replicas, and that this infestation causes them to rampage and wipe out the Gestalt. Upon further exploration, you encounter one of the only male replicas in the game, Adler. After a brief interaction, he will declare that you shouldn't have returned, and push you down an elevator shaft where several dead Elster units allow you to survive the fall. This new location forces you to descend deeper into the planet, and closer to the source of the infestation. Eventually, the facility turns into endless walls of pulsating flesh, twisted steel, and alien technologies. You're clearly in the presence of something twisted and incomprehensible lurking deep beneath the planet. Traversing through this nightmarish environment isn't easy. Eventually, however, you find your way to the same structures that were on the distant planet, and after walking through them, you experience a sequence of events and arrive back on the Penrose. In your desperation to return to the ship, you tear off a limb and proceed to die. The credit rolls, and we're left with a ton to digest. Except, the game doesn't end. Upon returning to the menu, you quickly notice the difference, the eye. So, you intuitively do what you know you must, and restart the game. This new game starts you back on the ship, although this time, the ship is clean and organized. Upon searching the ship, you find her, Ariane, the captain of the ship. It turns out that what you're witnessing is a memory. And this is when you discover that Ariane was more than just a captain and more than just a friend. She was your lover. You awaken from your dreams and find that the visions you had earlier, in fact, were not dreams. You really did wind up back on the ship. You really did tear off your arm. You enter the ship and repair yourself from the scavenged remains of an Elster unit on board the ship. You jump through an unexplainable hole and suddenly find yourself back on the mining station, only this time, the flesh has heavily infested the station itself. Navigate this increasingly distorted location until you find yet another bottomless pit. Jump into this one as well, and you will appear on the distant planet of Rotfront. It is on this planet that you learn more about Ariane. This location will degrade as you solve puzzles and navigate horrors. Uncover yet another mystery flesh hole. This one, however, resembles that at the beginning of the game. Crawl through it yet again to find yourself in the same room as in the beginning of the game. This time, however, you can exit the room and proceed to fight the final boss. Here, you will fight Falk, a replica eluded throughout the game, and the source of the infestation. Once you end Falk, you return back to the ship. This time, however, the ship is heavily decayed. Explore the ship and make your way to the cryo chamber, where you will finally find Ariane. She had never left the ship and has been suffering in silence. Depending on various factors and how you played the game, there are multiple endings you could encounter. So, what happened? Well, I'm not sure. Throughout the game, you learn from various sources that the consciousness of replicas are modeled after Gestalt. As a result, the replicas inherit quirks from their Gestalt counterpart. Elster units are quiet and reserved and don't interact much. Curiously, however, our character manages to fall in love with a Gestalt, forming a strong and significant bond. We also learn that the consciousness of replicas are connected via a mysterious and enigmatic bioresonance technology. It's possible that the tragedy of the events that occurred on board the ship might have broken Elster. This might be the real origin for the mass psychosis, or infection as the game called it. It seems that your consciousness travels between the various Elster units in a sort of Groundhog Day-esque sequence. Whenever you die or a dramatic sequence occurs, you seemingly wind up back at the bathroom. This explains Alder's speech on returning. This explains the massive pile of Elster units at the bottom of the elevator shaft. This explains the various dream sequences. This explains why there are various dead Elster units throughout the ship. This explains why you seemingly teleport between planets and solar systems. It's possible I might be wrong. In my theory, the pulsating flesh is explained as a sort of fragmentation of the mind. However, there are clues that this infestation is real and it does exist. While we believe Elster might not be infected, it is possible that she is. It's possible that her infection manifested differently due to the presence of this extreme love. This theory, however, doesn't explain how this same infestation ended up on Rotfront, unless it was some sort of multi-planet organism that was awakened. Signalis is an interesting game. The open-ended nature of the story makes it fun for theory crafting, and I honestly wasn't expecting what I ended up walking into. I've written this review in a way that offers you guys the same opportunity to enjoy this game as I did. The premise is simple enough for anyone to pick up and deep enough for everyone to enjoy. The visuals meshed well and the art direction was cleverly executed to deliver a fantastic atmosphere on a limited budget. The music and audio were also amazing and added considerably to the execution of the game. The game is just long enough where reused clips don't become grating. If I had to hear those replicas screech for another 10 or so hours, I might have lost it. All in all, I give this game an amplitude modulation over a frequency modulation. It's a fantastic experience, albeit a short one, but you know what? That's perfectly okay. I recommend it. Go play it. If you've watched this far, you're awesome, and thanks for sticking around. It really means a lot to me. If you have any recommendations for games to review, please tell me in the comments section. I will seriously consider them. Alright everyone, thanks for watching, and have a beautiful day.